short-form research skills series for graduate students and early career researchers. In each 4 to 5 minute episode, I walk through one concrete framework you can use right away. Whether you're planning a thesis, auditing a literature review, designing a seminar, or crafting an elevator pitch, let's get into today's framework. One of the first questions every researcher faces is deceptively simple. How am I actually going to answer my research question? It is tempting to begin collecting data immediately, especially when there is enthusiasm for the topic or pressure to make progress. However, experienced researchers understand that the quality of a study depends far more on its design than on the amount of data collected. Imagine a graduate student preparing to investigate the effectiveness of a new emerging technique in their field. They have identified an interesting problem, found supporting literature, and are eager to begin experiments. During a meeting, their advisor asks a straightforward question. How will you know whether your approach is actually better than existing methods? The student pauses. They have planned the experiments, but they have not clearly defined the evaluation criteria, the baseline for comparison, or the metrics that will demonstrate success. They realize that before collecting a single result, they need a more complete research design. Situations like this are common because research design is much more than selecting a methodology. It involves translating a research question into a logical sequence of decisions that can withstand critical review. Every element should support the overall objective. The research question influences the hypotheses determine the data requirements, the data guide the analysis, and the analysis provides the evidence needed to answer the original question. When one of these elements is weak or disconnected, the entire study becomes more difficult to defend. This framework encourages you to think about research design as an architecture rather than a checklist. Instead of asking only, what method should I use? You begin asking broader questions. What evidence is required to answer the research question? What assumptions am I making? What sources of uncertainty or bias could influence the results? Are there practical limitations that should be considered before resources are committed? Thinking through these questions early often prevents expensive redesign later in the project. Another advantage of a systematic design process is that it improves communication with advisors, collaborators, and reviewers. A well-designed study allows others to understand not only what you plan to do, but why each decision was made. That transparency builds confidence in the research and often leads to more constructive feedback before significant time and effort have been invested. Research projects rarely proceed exactly as planned. New information becomes available. Experiments produce unexpected results, or practical constraints require adjustments. A strong research design provides enough structure to adapt to those changes without losing sight of the original objective. Instead of reacting to problems as they arise, you have a framework for making informed decisions throughout the life of the project. Ultimately, good research design reduces uncertainty before the work begins. By carefully connecting your research questions, methods, evidence, and evaluation strategy, you establish a solid foundation that supports every stage of the research process and increases confidence in the conclusions you eventually present. Thanks for listening to SciResMethods. If you'd like the licensed PDF version of this framework, along with more research and presentation tools, you can find them at moonbo.lemonsqueezy.com. If this was helpful, consider sharing the episode with another grad student or colleague.